Okay. Shpresoj që është të funksionu. Ju faleminderit shumë gjithëve. Mr. Ambassador, we wanted to demonstrate German punctuality. At least everyone was here in the room on time, but then the technology failed, so we were unable to start on time. Anyways, thanks a lot for being here, everyone. Për ata që nuk më njohin, unë jam Marian Zeka, jam drejtor ekzekutiv i Udhës Ekonomike Amerikane. Faleminderit shumë Ranik për besimin që t'jem moderator i këtij paneli shumë interesant me palë të ndryshme të interesit, cilat në një mënyrë ose në mënyrën tjetër po e mbështesin këtë ekosistemin, komponentat të ndryshme të ekosistemit, edhe ndërmarrësisë, të inovacionit në përgjithësi në vend, edhe çfarë është duke bërë secili prej tyre, besoj që më mirë se sa që unë do ta përshkruajnë ata vetë gjatë pjesës në VM. Do t'i lusja të gjithë anëtarët e panelit që në prezantimet e tyre fillestare t'jenë jo më të gjatë se 5 minuta, edhe pastaj natyrisht lëm vend edhe për pyetje të cilat ju mund t'i keni, edhe pse jo diskutojmë edhe mëzgjërsisht për gjithçka. Me ne sot në panel janë Ministri i Inovacionit edhe Ndërmarrësisë, Zotri Besim Beqaj, Zotri Zonja Kerin Henmark Avlini, ambasadore e Suedisë. Thank you, Your Excellency, for being here. Ambasadori i Republikës Federale të Gjermanisë, Christian Held. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Dhe ambasadori i Norvegjisë per Strand Sjastad. Nëse e thash mirë, u mundova. Oh, it was excellent. Thank you very much. Po kalojmë më njëherë me panelistit e parë, që është Ministri i Inovacionit dhe Ndërmarrësisë. Natyrisht, Ministri, ju mund të flisni për pikat për cilat ju keni planifikuar për një pyetje, ndoshta sa për të orientuar këtë prezantimin fillestar është në një vit e sa muaj të ekzistimit të ministrisë që ju e drejtoni, a keni parë realisht ndonjë rezultat apo efekt në përmbushjen e qëllimit për çka ministria është themeluar? Fjala është e juaj.
Faleminderit shumë, Arjan, të nderuar organizatorë të GEW-it, Uranek dhe tërë ekipa. Besoj që gjërat janë duke lëvizur në kohën e duhur me orientimin të cilin e kemi trasuar deri diku bashkarisht, por që ky drejtim po merr rrugën më të mirë të mundshme atëherë kur po udhëheqet nga vetë ekosistemi. Unë jam i nderuar që jam sot prezent këtu me ambasadorët të cilët me përkushtimin e tyre dhe me modelet që ne kanë dhënë, po na ndihmojnë edhe na ta definojmë më mirë të ardhmen ekonomike të vendit tonë. Unë nuk do të flas për fakte dhe zhvillimet cilat janë duke shkuar në nivel global, sepse besoj që jemi pjesë e ekosistemit dhe shumë informacione keni tani më të qarta, por ajo çka ne kemi vend detyrë vetes me momentin e themelimit të ministrisë ka qenë që të bëjmë dy gjëra. Një, ta fillojmë debatin për reorientimin e mendimit ekonomik në vend. Që thuhet në anglisht to kick the ball rolling, ta hekim idenë prej kokës që resurset natyrore janë vetëm rrugë për zhvillim ekonomik dhe për prosperitet të shteteve, dhe që shërbimet, respektivisht shërbimet në fushën e teknologjisë informative janë elementi më i fuqishëm sot në ekonominë botërore që ne mund ta orientojmë. Dhe kjo jo vetëm që është nisur, por është ka merr formën. Vetë prezenca sot në kuvend po tregon që edhe kuvendi, edhe qeveria, dhe të gjithë janë duke menduar seriozisht që ta riorientojmë ekonominë e vendit tonë. Çështja e dytë ka qenë që të fillojmë të bëjmë një farë lloj baze ligjore e cila do t'i mundsonte ekosistemit të zhvillohet. Marr parasysh që shpesh e kam thënë edhe në prononcimet e mia publike se komuniteti po lëviz më shpejt se ne institucionet. Do thotë ne është dashur që të krijojmë një infrastrukturë fizike dhe ligjore e cila do t'i mundsonte që shteti ynë dhe rinia jonë të gjejnë veten për të punuar dhe për të koncentruar njohuritë e tyre në Republikën e Kosovës dhe të mos të shikojnë daljen nga Kosova si opcion. Pra këto kanë qenë arsyet të cilat ne kemi vënë në pa që në ditën e parë të themelimit të ministrisë një ministri që vetë është start-up, një ministri që realisht ka pak të punësuar, por që gjatë kësaj periudhe kohore kemi pas një angazhim maksimal. Dëshiroj të falenderoj edhe ekosistemin, posaçërisht Arjanin, Uranikun, Beratin, i cili sot ashtu që na kanë ndihmu bashkë me Vjollcën edhe me krejt komunitetin që ta kuptojmë më mirë se si ta ndërtojmë një ministri, një institucion i cili do duhet punonte ekskluzivisht për sektorin privat. Pra, kemi punu në konsolidim të infrastrukturës ligjore, është dashur fillimisht që të bëhet vendosja në hartë institucionale e ministrisë, të kemi shumë debate brenda qeverisë, se cilat janë kompetencat, kush çfarë detyre duhet të banë. Nganjëherë ne në përqeveri edhe kemi ka pak gara, kush po merr më shumë autorizime, kush më pak. Këto kemi bërë përmes një trajtimi të vëmendshëm të dokumentacionit, duke rishikuar edhe rregulloren e funksionimit të qeverisë, duke marrë hapa konkret se cilat janë autorizimet e ministrisë, dhe ministria sot ka autorizim që ta përfaqëson shtetin në fushën e teknologjisë informative, në fushën e inovacionit dhe komunikimit me partnerët ndërkombëtar, të sjellë edhe nisma ligjore dhe veprimet e tjera. Pra, e kemi harmonizuar një proces të tillë dhe kemi krijuar një buxhet inicial i cili na ka mundësuar që të fillojmë ta zbatojmë. Kur e kemi filluar zbatimin e këtij buxheti, kemi pa që kemi shumë hendikepe në të dy anët, edhe në anën institucionale dhe në anën e shkrimit të projekteve. Na ka dashur për organizatat të qeveritare një herë me anulu tërë procesin, për shkak se, do ta them, ndoshta për herë të parë publikisht sot, mbi 95% të aplikacioneve nuk janë kualifikuar fare për një veprim të tillë, dhe për atë arsye dashur që ta sjellim edhe një herë pozitën në zero, pastaj të fillojmë ta marrim një seancë informuese, të fillojmë me raundin tjetër, dhe besoj që tani me ato janë bërë publike dhe besoj që keni marrë dhe informacionin për hapje të dhanave. Ne e kemi instruktuar sekretarin që konform bazës ligjore, kush të dëshiron ka qasje në dokumenta të plot, pra lidhur me atë se kush, cilat ka qenë vlerësimi, cilat kanë qenë kriteret, pse është marrë dhe pse është refuzuar. Kemi dashur në dhënë një shembull që secili formular është i hapur për publikun, kush dëshiron mund ta sheh në mënyrë të plot atë lidhur me ato zhvillime. Pra dashur veprime të tilla. Na në ndërkohë kemi punuar edhe për infrastrukturën fizike. Te infrastruktura fizike kemi një marrëveshje me Universitetin e Prishtinës për themelimin e qendrës në Fakultetin për Teknologji, për Fakultetin Teknik, dhe besojmë që shumë shpejt ajo do të funksionalizohet. Edhe me Ferizaj kemi lëvizur të njëjtën proces me qendër. Mira kësaj është se ne ja kemi dhënë atyre mundësinë financiare, ata i bëjnë krejt procedurat e prokurimit dhe gjëra të tjera. Pra, ne kemi dashur të heq nga detyrat tona të përditshme të prokurimit apo të çfarëdo lloj procedure burokratike. Ja kemi dhënë institucioneve të cilat i marrin përgjegjësitë për këto çështje. Është themelu Këshilli Kombëtar për Inovacion dhe Ndërmarrësi, për më shumë pas vizitës që kemi pas nga Komisionerja për Ekonomi Digjitale e Bashkimit Evropian, besoj që do ta bëjmë një transformim të këtij këshilli, dhe ky këshill besoj prej vitit të ardhshëm do të kalon në koalicion digjital. Ata të cilën janë duke bërë pothuajse gjitha vendet e Bashkimit Evropian, por edhe ata që aspirojnë me shku atje. Kemi arritur që në bashkëpunim me GIZ-in ta kalojmë në kuvend projektin e CETEP. Mund vjen jashtëzakonisht mirë që sot ne jemi pjesë e bashkëorganizimit. Vitin e kaluar kemi qenë si musafir, si vjet jemi bashkëorganizator të GEW-it, dhe besoj që ky partneritet do të vazhdon edhe me tuti. Pra, projekti CETEP-it besoj që nesër një delegacion tjetër shkon për Gjermani, në trajnime tjera shtesë dhe shumë aktivitete të cilat e kanë siglen edhe të Ministrisë për Inovacion, edhe të GIZ-it përmes projektit të CETEP-it, dhe në këtë drejtim dëshiroj ta falenderoj qeverinë gjermane, sepse ka qenë hera e parë që qeveria e Kosovës, dhe po e them këto pa asnjë lloj modestie, që hyn në një bashkëfinancim me GIZ-in për m'ia dhënë mjetet GIZ-it që këta me operu me to. Pra, na kemi dhënë 1.2 milion euro afërsisht, dhe këtë procedurën e prokurimit dhe gjitha këto i bën GIZ-i. Pra, po dojmë ndërtu një praktikë e cila ka qartësi të plot në momentin e ndarjes së mjeteve financiare. Ajo çka është e mira si ta themi një komunikim i plot është se Kampi ushtarak I Këforit, nga data 1 janar shndrohet në Park për Inovacion dhe Ndërmarrësi Gjermano-Kosovar, I cili në ministrinë tonë ka gjetë mbështetjen financiare. Ne për vitin e ardhshëm I kemi nda 2 milion euro për funksionimin e kësaj. Besoj që ambasadori do të flet më shumë për detajet e kësaj, sepse kemi bashkëpunim ne, Ministria, Qeveria, përmes Ministrisë tonë dhe Ministrisë Financave, por edhe me BMC-tin që është Ministria për Bashkëpunim e Gjermanisë, dhe që kemi sfidë të përbashkët të gjithë qysh me e popullu një qendër të tillë, sepse në kuptimin e inovacionit kjo do të bëhet. Ne besoj që deri në fund vitit do ta kemi edhe strategjinë për inovacion dhe ndërmarrësi, strategjinë kombëtare. Tani prapë me përkraje të Gizit kemi një ekspert gjerman I cili me datën 20 do të vjen të na prezanton draftin e parë dhe besoj që deri në fund të këtij viti do ta kemi të aprovuar strategjinë dhe pastaj do ta bëjmë edhe ligjin për inovacion dhe ndërmarrësi. Lërimi prej taksave doganore për pajisje teknologjike besoj që ka qenë hap jashtëzakonisht I rëndësishëm. Organizimi Digitalks, konferenca, besoj që gjithashtu ka qenë një sinjal që Kosova ka potencial jo vetëm për veten e saj, por edhe për rajonin dhe me gjerë. Unë këtu do ndalem dhe normalisht nëse dikush ka ndonjë pyetje, çfarë do lloj qartësimi apo shpjegimi shtesë, jam I gatshëm që ta jap në hollësi. Faleminderit edhe një herë Uraniku dhe tërë ekipes për organizimin e kësaj jave, ku ne bëhem pjesë e vërtet e diskutimeve substanciale për zhvillimin e ndërmarrësisë në botë. Faleminderit shumë.
Faleminderit shumë Ministër Beqaj. Me agjendë është para parë që të flasë edhe Ministri Luka, megjithatë ju sqaruat që tashmë I keni nda detyrat edhe përgjithësitë dhe ky është një lajm I mirë, ka qenë ndoshta shqetësimi jonë ditët e para që mos ketë një konflikt të detyra dhe përgjithësi ose overlapping. E kalojmë një herë fjalën ambasadorës Henmark Ahlini. Your Excellency, you've been supporting the Innovation Center Kosovo for several years now, and I believe that you've also been able to see some of the startup examples and business examples that have started and gone through Innovation Center. So how happy you are with the support that has been provided by the Swedish government? And are you planning to continue? Please say yes, and everything else. The floor is all yours.
Thank you. I think that was the definition of leading questions. We are happy with our support. Our strategy is ongoing, as you know, but we're looking at a new strategy period to begin in a year or two. So we are starting to work on that. But innovation and economic development is, of course, something that's very dear to our hearts. If I may say, if I did understand the title of this panel right, said something along the veins of creating a sustainable ecosystem for innovation. And I would suggest that it would be equally as fruitful to discuss innovation for sustainable ecosystems. And I do think that those two things go hand in hand. There's a lot of, we talked earlier about, I took part in the Green Festival a few weeks ago. I do think that a lot of the future of innovation for Kosovo and for the world is in the green field, and this is something that we are particularly interested in as Sweden. When you look at what you can do, I mean, it's very easy. It's, in a way, with all of these things that we're talking about, you get the what. You get the innovation. Yes, of course you want to have innovation. Of course you want to have a vibrant economy. Of course you want to have a sustainable economy and ecologically friendly and all of these things. But it doesn't actually happen until you start to talk about the how. So how are you going to achieve this? What is it that is stopping it from happening? And to identify that. And to address it politically and mentality-wise, financially, what is sort of identify clearly what is making it not happen. I think that is always important because the what is so obvious in a way. So when it doesn't happen, there must be a reason for it not to happen. Because if it's something a lot of people want to happen, some systemic failure must be there that stops it. And I think it's always important to look back then at whatever systemic, situation you have, to see what is stopping it. Is it the fact that women are getting fewer chances, so their innovativeness is not taken care of, or that they don't get access to financing despite having excellent ideas, or things like that? Or is it traditional cultural things? Is it legislation? Or just the fact that you need to license things? Or are there larger systemic failures that prevents what it is you want to achieve that achieves it? I think it's useful to think about this in all aspects. When it comes to the Swedish example, I mean, we are traditionally an innovative country. The Nobel Prizes were established in Sweden for a reason. We're sort of a country of sort of engineers at heart. We tend to look at problems and want to approach them in a very engineering kind of way. I mean, for good and bad, but this is sort of how we tend to approach things. I mean, we are fortunate in that we have been fairly successful, or very successful even in that. One thing that you can start to think about is, I mean, yes, of course it starts at the education level, but it's also a question of playing the long game, allowing things to take time. Going back to the sustainability of the ecosystem, one of the most one of the things that we have been pushing a lot, and that I believe that the EBRD is getting into now, is a question of the green cities, something that we have launched under the sort of code word of Symbiocity, which is a way of approaching city planning to make the symbiosis between production, waste management, water, sanitation, IT, transport, communications, to make sure that you use resources as effectively as possible and push yourself to the forefront. And of course, you need to have an innovative worldview to start this, but you also need to have the backing that you can start to plan this in 1990 and have it come to fruition in 2008. And have it really start to take the space in 2014. I mean, it's a long process to make this happen. It started in an old industrial harbor area in Stockholm, and now this has become one of the sort of biggest eco city examples of the world. But it wasn't obvious from the beginning. It was a very run-down, dirty industrial harbor area from the beginning, and now it's one of the prime locations in Sweden. But it's one of those things. You have to sort of play the long game a little bit. Actually allow things to take time. Also allow things that you didn't necessarily plan for in the beginning, that this is going to lead to this and this and this. Provide the platform and then let it blossom. When the government in the 1990s decided on giving a tax break for everyone to get a computer in their homes, they didn't think that this would lead to Spotify and Skype and Minecraft and Candy Crush and Ericsson and Bluetooth and whatever, but it did. So you need to also, you can plan, but you can plan to a certain extent, and then you need to allow it to blossom and flourish. And that's another sort of lesson, I would say. So, I mean, when it comes to Kosovo, one of our things that we have been working a lot with is the whole thing about waste to energy. I'm sure you've seen these little clips that go around on Facebook, like Sweden is the only country in the world that actually imports trash. We import trash because we use it in our power plants to make energy out of. And in fact, when it comes to Kosovo, in 2013, 12 and 13, we actually imported over 2,000 tons of tar from the Kosovo A. So you can imagine the dirt level of that. And that was imported to Sweden, and it was incinerated at a number of 1,000 degrees Celsius, and it gave 0 emissions. because of the filter and the technology involved. And this is something, so you're talking about coal and and of course coal serves a purpose, solar serves a purpose, hydroelectric plants serve a purpose, but you also need to look at things in a bit of a new way. So all of this waste, instead of just digging it down into landfill, can you actually use it in your district heating system? Is this a viable way of looking at it for the future? I would very much. I mean, we've been here now in Kosovo specifically since 1999, and we are very engaged, and we work a lot with you, and this is something I look forward to continuing doing, and I would really encourage, because I do think that it's not only. It's not only to have an ecosystem for sustainable innovation, it's also to have innovation for a sustainable ecosystem, and these two things go hand in hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. I certainly would like to know more about your opinion about this systemic failure that you mentioned, but maybe we can do this during the open discussion. Germany has been supporting Kosovo in many different ways. And the recent example that was mentioned by the Minister Becai of Kosovo's Germany Innovative and Training Park, I think is an excellent thing that we need to see. Military camps being transformed not into future military camps, but into technology and entrepreneurship bases, because I think that we need to be promoting and cultivating peace and development more rather than seeing other armed people in these territories. Infrastructure and support is, of course, one of the key components of this sustainable ecosystem that would drive people towards more entrepreneurship and developing innovative ideas. I don't know how long have you been here in the country, Ambassador, but do you think we've got a right platform to develop innovation and entrepreneurship here? The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Minister, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for also hosting me today. I would really also like to follow up on what you just suggested, to say a few words about our Kosovo-German project, which is a real joint venture. We're kicking off formally on January 1st, 2019 with the Innovation and Training Park in Prizren. But maybe to also follow up briefly on your question about the kind of framework I found here. Lots of bright young minds, lots of innovation, but also needing space for that. So that is also one of the ideas which brought us to think about how to use 40 hectares of army facilities in a useful way. It's about space for innovation. It's about a general climate for innovation, also with respect to export chances. I mean, you're all aware of the statistics where traditional goods, well, let's say the trade balance doesn't look that good, with one exception, and that's the service sector. Just to give you an idea, the two biggest call center companies here in the country employ more people than Trepcha. So this might also give you an indication of how one could think in an innovative way about new products. And I think here it's really also important to think about where are the particular strengths of Kosovar economy, of the potential of Kosovar innovation, and also the potential of infrastructure. We've been talking about the energy field. I mean, we in Germany are beyond the 30% in renewable energies. Kosovo has twice as much sun as Germany. So, I mean, these are very trivial insights, but could also point out how to try and tackle also infrastructure questions with more innovation with respect to new technologies. My personal belief is that there is lots of room for renewable energies in this country. I also think that we all know about the specific hurdles Kosovo is facing within the EU, but one point is networking. GIZ, for example, amongst many other things, is very involved in the promotion of exports, like getting people to specific trade fairs in Germany, getting knowledge to certification, with respect to certification, with respect to specific product lines for export, etc., etc. That is, I think, one of the crucial factors, and then it is workforce, to put it quite bluntly. We have had entrepreneurs from Germany who said, well, we would like to, and people are super motivated, excellent language skills, but we need more trained and qualified workforce. So vocational training, which we always take pride in saying it's one of the German major export articles, the so-called dual system, is something which could also work very well here in Kosovo. This is also one of the major aspects of what we're trying to set up in Prizren, in this innovation and training park. If you look at the T, the training, to get vocational training there. And there is a need of qualified workforce here in Kosovo, which exceeds what's on the labor market. So this need for the already existing Kosovar labor market, but also for future investors, is absolutely crucial. So with respect to the ITP, there was a feasibility study done on that, and according to that, both governments, and I want to underline it is a joint venture financed by both governments, which really is something exciting minds also back in Berlin and in Germany, because here we see something we're doing together. And so there are three sectors which we basically will be covering in Prizren. That's ICT, technology-based firms, a lot on agro-food processing, where you can also have lots of innovation. By the way, also not only on a let's say municipal or national level, but even on regional levels, looking at the specific geographical situation of Prizren, and then creative and cultural industries. The whole idea having also cross-sectoral, so it's not just a business park, like Prizren already has a business park, but really trying to get innovation out of this unique location by having this cross-sectoral setup. As the minister said, we are now in the final phases. The GIZ expert who is basically now running the show on the spot has arrived since a few weeks, and we're putting shifting into gear one after the other. After the initial letter of intent, the Prime Minister and me have signed in early March. And so far, things are looking pretty good. If there are any questions also on specific sectors or the setup there, we'd be most happy to answer them. And I think at this stage, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Ambassador Strand, I said it the first time the right way, so I should just replicate that. Strand Stjastad. Norway has been supporting innovation centers since day one. Actually, not just supporting it. You've, together with Fuels and Michael Gould here, you've been one of the founders of the organization. And if someone is to be blamed why we're here today, then it's partly your country as well, Ambassador. You've heard other interlocutors in this panel talking about various aspects of the ecosystem. Do you think there's hope? And do you think that one day we'll be able to match with Israel and the United States and other European countries in terms of registered patents, innovative research and development, and startups? And anything else you may, please.
Minister, ladies and gentlemen, if I was to answer that question very quickly, I would say yes, there is hope. But if you allow me, moderator, I would like to say a few more words on just this simple statement. It is important to keep in mind, I believe, that the ICT sector is not only a sector. It's a cross-cutting technology. If you look at the ICT sector in an average European country, it counts for about 5% of GDP. If you look at it as a cross-cutting technology, having an impact on most areas, both in the public and private sector, it accounts in Europe average for about 50% of the productivity growth. This is very important to keep in mind because any progress you have in the ICT sector, the benefits will go far beyond the sector itself. Just to state a simple fact, the Nordic countries, and Norway, Sweden, and Finland, are all among top 4 on this ICT technology ranking index. And let me share some experience with you and some reflections with you on that basis. Most countries, they have 2 objectives, main objectives, when it comes to the ICT area. One is to ensure an efficient public administration, and the other objective is value creation in the private sector. In theory, you could, of course, buy all the ICT technology you need. You don't need to produce it yourself. The problem with that type of approach is that you will be wasting opportunities. I think that the bold ambition of Kosovo, which of course you have to state yourself, but encourage you to go from a situation of being a technology consumer to become a technology provider. Then the question is, like raised by my colleague ambassadors, is how to achieve this, how to succeed. And I think then we have to take a step back and also to take this long-term approach outlined by my Swedish colleague. It has a lot to do with the overall business environment, the stability, political stability, the economic stability, and the education and training systems. If these, let's call them input factors, are in place, it will benefit the whole of your economy, including the ICT sector. It is basically about getting the basics correct, getting them right, and try to create some strong ICT clusters. And when doing that, you could speak about the triangle, a very important triangle of stakeholders. One is the business itself. The second is academia and the research community. And the third is the government. If these 3 stakeholders do not work together well, you will be put in a great disadvantage. If they do work well with each other, you will have a great benefit. The objective should also be that by creating a dynamic ICT industry, it will deliver goods and services to most other areas in your economy. I can give you one example from my home country. Norway developed a huge oil and gas industry from the late 1970s. That is some years back, but still, my relevant point here is that one of the biggest customers of the Norwegian ICT sector is the Norwegian oil and gas industry. The same thing here, like pointed out by my German colleague. I also believe that there is a great scope for renewable energy in Kosovo, and then my point is the ICT sector industry should do its utmost to connect to the possibilities that growth in other sectors in the industry does provide. Also, I would like to point out that there is an obvious interplay between what you achieve regarding ICT in the public sector and the private sector. One of my favorites is e-government. I strongly believe that a country which is ambitious regarding e-government, introducing ICT solutions in the public sector, will have a positive spillover into the ICT industry and vice versa. These two things are connected closely. As I said, moderator, I believe that Kosovo has a good chance of getting results in the ICT area. I have sensed that during my 2 years here now that Kosovo has a young, energetic, and innovative generation coming up. The biggest challenge for the moment may be the lack of skilled and trained labor. And also I would encourage that the government does its utmost to follow up the national ICT strategy. Finally, if I may, just a few words on how Norway has supported Kosovo and how we intend to support in the future. As pointed out, we've been involved in this from day one in the build-up of the ICK and also in the build-up of STIC, the association for the ICT sector in Kosovo. And we have to those two institutions and beyond donated more than 14 million euros the last 10 years. Another area which I define as e-government and then confirm my pointing out of the connection between e-government and e-industry. We have had a huge project in the justice sector. We have funded the establishment of case management system, electronically based for the courts and prosecution services. And we have a follow-up project on that now in the 2 years to come. And the total value of that is more than 10 million euros. We also intend to have some more concrete support for the government area. We have not quite decided what that will be. Anyone that comes up with a good idea, we will look at in a favorable way. But this is our priority also for the future. And I can just finally promise you that we will also have this as our top priority for support to Kosovo in the years to come. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ambassador, and thank you everyone, to all the panel members. It's now or never moment. Everything you wanted to ask, but you had no opportunity. Para vetës e keni një ministër edhe 3 ambasador të nderuar të 3 shteteve mike, që dëshironi të komentoni pyetje të cilat dëshironi t'i parashtroni ose çka do tjetër, fjala është e juaj. Vjolca? Se kesha.
Mic, turn on
Mike
the
needs the
mic.
mic.
Yes.
Actually, usually I don't need the mic. So, Minister, ambassadors, Aryan, colleagues, it's a pleasure to be here. I heard a lot of things that are very important. Skills training and education are critical for the future. and that's got to improve. Fortunately, I see that the efforts that are being made in filling skills gaps are moving away from supply side approaches of, oh, just have butts in a seat, excuse my language, and give them certificates, whether or not those are the skills that businesses need, to going out to businesses and saying, do you need people? If so, what are the skills? And then matching the people with the skills, which makes all the difference. And you were seeing a lot of companies now having a better chance of getting the people need by taking that demand side approach. We heard about, innovation to build a sustainable ecosystem, or in a sustainable ecosystem to support innovation. Couldn't agree with it more, and I wanted to take the opportunity, since there are three major supporters of an initiative that has been both at the same time highly innovative and is creating a sustainable ecosystem for future innovation, and that's the Kosovo Credit Guarantee Fund, which the government of Kosovo was an initiator and major financial supporter of, and it's had financial support from Germany and Sweden and the US, and others are coming on board. And basically, that institution is allowing banks, who are necessarily conservative and are regulated and everything else, be able now to lend to businesses that are young, even startups that don't have a lot of collateral, and already in first 2 years of operation, over 1,500 businesses were able to get financing that couldn't before, and I think they're approaching 80 million euros of new financing. So I think that's a case where the government and the donors and the private sector got together and did quite a bit of research, and then structured something that's a permanent, local, revolving institution that now will be able to, year after year, support innovative companies, startups, women-owned businesses, farmers, renewable energy, all the fields. So I'd like to take this opportunity to be sure people are aware of that, and thank the government and the donors. I don't know if we have any banks here that are partners of that, but thank the whole ecosystem that's supporting that, and that's one example of something that was highly innovative. There's no guarantee fund or scheme in the world that's set up quite like Kosovo Credit Guarantee Fund, and at the same time, it's creating a new ecosystem that with massive stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Kush do tjetër?
Just to briefly add on that one, maybe as another example of cooperation between government, donors, and relevant institutions for some time, there is also a very close cooperation between the Ministry of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, ICK, and GIZ. And if I remember correctly, this afternoon at 3 o'clock, the Innovation Fund as a new instrument will also be started. So I think there are quite a number of interesting incentives, and I'm grateful for to you also for mentioning the Kosovo Credit Guarantee Fund, where we even had to come back to agriculture, also an agricultural part of it. So sometimes it's also, and I would like to add that thing about communication and information, because there are quite a number of interesting instruments and incentives out there for local businesses, startups, etc., to also transform their dreams to a business reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Po minute.
Maybe just to add on the information which was spread. During the visit of EU Commissioner for Digital Economy, we have been talking to look for the future opportunities that will lead the ecosystem to be more organized and more speaking with a kind of single voice in terms of, let's say, future development. And in some way we have agreed that our ministry will propose to amend IPA 2018 and 2019, aiming to bring IT sector, especially on the energy side, smart metering and smart city activities, which we were thinking to cope with what other countries in the region are doing, like Slovenia or Croatia, or even initiatives in Albania and in Macedonia. For some reason, we got an answer which was an interesting one. The outcome of the request, which I have made through our Ministry of Innovation and through Ministry of European Integration, we were answered in not really positive way. It left a room there, but I think we should explore. What I'm trying to say is that we should ask and appeal to our partners that we should look beyond the current situation of the economic situation of the country. I do believe that the future of the country is not in the current state that we are doing today. It's not to have students who are not capable to work, they do not have the skills, but we have really capable people to do the great work even for the European Union companies. So I think we should look in that way. That is what I do expect to have from the Commission as a EU perspective, because the EU perspective should be touchable thing for generations to come. And I thank Ambassador for bringing the point of Sweden as a leading nation on innovation. The ministry has been built up based on the Ministry of Entrepreneurship and Innovation, which has been established since 2015 in Sweden, and that ministry has a really great number of authorities in the country, but we wanted to look into the things which our generations can come in the future. The smart generation is there, the will is there. Now our institutions is just to steer them in the right way. Here, which means even the donors' money. When the Norwegian authorities have really believed in this, nobody could think that something 6 years later we will come up with ICK or STIC or this kind of stuff as a real initiative. But today we have a lot of bright generations who are doing things without us. They are getting European and international markets. So we have just to be serving. And that's the point of the ministry. But I do believe that European Union, as such, not only bilaterally but multilaterally, with IPA funds, we should have a look into the possibilities what the country is doing, not living for today. In some way, I have a feeling, even with the respected ambassadors here, we are in the kind of frontliners to push things ahead, but still there are some institutions around looking at us as a living for today, not planning strategically and visionary, because I do believe that we will be with the power, with ITP, we can be not a host for our businesses, but it can be host for regional companies and international park, because 40 hectares of land to inhabit them, it's a huge task. Ambassador and me, we are thinking on the daily basis how to make the positive snowballing effect into the park.
Kush do tjetër? Po t'lutna. Mentor, Monday.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mentor. I'm from Pristina originally, but I live in United States. I live in DC. And one thing that struck me about this conversation is that when we're talking about jobs right now, we're noticing that a lot of jobs that we're talking about are jobs that like call centers or jobs that translators or whatever types of services. And my fear is that in five years from now, this translation device could be automatic. So the person that is translating all this could be gone. Automotive industry. In US, we're seeing some places are rolling out Uber that are self-driving cars. So in a world that is constantly changing really, really fast, in a world that is constantly innovating, how can we stay ahead of the curve? And especially if, what can we do for this generation that is right now growing up in Kosovo to actually bring them up with this type of mentality? There's a study, World Economic Forum, that talks about how 65% of the jobs of 10 years from now don't exist today. So if that's the case, what are we teaching our young people? What is the best thing to learn? This, I guess, is just a question to maybe learn some best practices, but I'm very curious on how are we dealing with this new type of trend where the world is going. Thank you.
Pentora, ke dikon specifikën mendje që të më përgjigjen pyetjen tonë apo ta lëm përgjithshëm? Okay. Neil?
Thank you. Neil Taylor from EBRD. I think, if I may, I think Mentor's point actually is a very, very relevant one. How can Kosovo keep up and stay with the times? I would say with the innovation, a lot of it can actually come from, for Kosovo, from importing innovation. And that you should be looking at other markets like the US and what is being done there and try to bring that model into Kosovo. We have, to give an example, we financed a company earlier this year, GEW, who established a partnership with a Dutch company, and they're importing waste from Holland and then exporting it back in a closed-loop recycling bags. And they're using the expertise from the Dutch mother company, and from a banking perspective, we have the guarantee from the Netherlands, which means we could finance it. And I think this could be a very interesting way forward for Kosovo. Look for opportunities to attract foreign direct investment, and not just about creating these links, but as much as anything, importing ideas, knowledge, and best practice. And I think that could be a way for Kosovo to catch up. I also want to make a comment. Thank you to Mike for bringing up this issue on financing. And I think that's an incredibly important part of having an ecosystem for startups, for businesses, and for entrepreneurships. The financial sector in Kosovo is very strong and it's stable, but still the country is underbanked. Particularly when you start to look at smaller companies. There are not so many products available. We mainly, at EBRD, we mainly work with the banks. We're also now working a little bit with MFIs. That sector still needs to be transformed, and the MFIs, only one of them is an LLC. The others are NGOs. So this needs to be addressed. There are plenty of good incubators and this kind of thing. What we would like to see at EBRD is a broader look at how you could maybe turn incubators into accelerators, where they're providing some financing. What can we do to attract more business angels, more diaspora investors into the Kosovo economy? Again, it doesn't have to be something that Kosovo does itself. There are some very good accelerators, the US, elsewhere, in the region even, that could come to Kosovo, and I would propose that as a potential way forward. Try to bring in people that have done it already elsewhere in order for Kosovo to catch up. And then finally on the infrastructure comment, I think there are a lot of business parks and zones being set up. We're looking at one ourselves. What I think will be important is that there is a consistent approach to how these parks and zones are set up, and I have not seen that yet. I would be interested to hear maybe from the Minister his perspective on that. For sure, I think business parks can provide the necessary infrastructure, but also access to expertise and to advice. And that's something that we will work on next year with Lenora's programme, providing business advice to companies, so they can also get this in addition to having a good place. For the parks, I think the one thing that the message we've been pushing is that there should be a transparent and open and competitive process for companies to get places into business parks where they're being set up. And that, I think, it will be important to create a fair playing ground. I'm sure this is being done in the German case. It would be interesting to hear maybe this is something that could be applied elsewhere in the sector as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I think to address Mentor's question, I mean, this is something the entire world is struggling with. I mean, in Africa, where I came just before being here, I was posted to South Africa. We're talking a lot about the fourth industrial revolution, which is basically this whole thing we're seeing now with a turn to robotics and automation, and what will that mean? And the fact that those 65% of jobs we will have in 10 years' time we are not even invented yet, but that is also coupled with that a lot of the jobs we do have now will be more, either wholly or at least partially redundant. We see further robotic clearing when, people working in warehouses. I think Amazon have already opened or in the process of opening completely automatic warehouses. And of course, this will always force every economy to look to, so what is the next thing? And that is something we all struggle with. I think it was, what's his name, who talked about the constructive destruction or whatever. I'm looking to you because you're the economist. So those things that, so you have that. I mean, we had a very big factory and company in Sweden that made typewriters. And suddenly there was no business for typewriters anymore. I mean, this happens all the time. Kosovo might, because it doesn't have already a mature economy with a lot of production in it, might actually be better poised, because you don't also have a lot of vested interests in the existing production models that we have. You don't have very powerful trade unions that are trying to stop developing or stop you from following the economic necessities. And you have a lot of things that you might even be better poised because you don't have the whole structures in place to see where you're going next. So I would see it as that point. I mean, I must say, we found it's ridiculously hard to try and find the list of 10 most successful, 10 people on it. One thing, they're all men. And the second one is almost all of them were consumption companies. It was retail in one way or another. And that to me says that there's a lot of space in this country for another kind of economic activity. And I mean, look at a country like Belarus. You don't have a lot in common with Belarus, but Belarus has become, during the last 5-6 years, have become a major exporter of computer games. And where did that come from? Well, if half of the games you're trying to download for the casual games on your phone, not half, but a lot of them are from Belarus. You're also having like German or Swedish and other companies who are just shifting their coding to Belarus because it's cheaper. So if you have people who know code. So what should we teach people? Languages are always important. And coding. I think you will come a very long way if you have those. Thank you.
Ambassador Siasat.
Thank you. I would also like to give a very brief comment to this question from the audience on the rapidly changing markets, which is pointed out in basically all discussions. I think it is important to acknowledge that the kind of people that we are looking for, you will be looking for, the next 10 to 20 years, will be people showing a high degree of flexibility and ability to adapt. I think this has something to do with the whole way you construct your education system, because traditional education has been focused on learning by heart, often, hard facts, and maybe less about acquiring the ability of ever-changing learning of new circumstances. So I think this goes basically to the root of how the minister and the cabinet can structure priorities in the future. It is also then the fact that it is necessary to keep up with these changing markets, that you create a very innovative environment. And again, as I pointed out before, I think it's going to be almost impossible to succeed if the ICT sector does not connect to A, other growth sectors in the economy, and B, to international partners. Sitting in Kosovo, or in Norway for that matter, by yourself, and trying to be innovative and grow businesses will become increasingly difficult. You have to connect. If you get this innovative spirit, entrepreneurship, which is the responsibility of the minister, I think gradually, and again, it's a long-term development that is realistic, you will gradually get a type of culture in your economy which will show that when people are laid off because of all methods of production, they will quite quickly be absorbed by new industries and modes of production. It is this type of dynamic, innovative economy which actually will keep people in work despite the changing markets. Thank you.
Just also a brief comment on my side. I'm not really afraid of the lack of innovation, spirit and capabilities here of the IT sector. Things I've seen like on a stand here at the fair in Pristina, a guy who just a week before had breakfast with Mark Zuckerberg in New York and had a VR thing going where my wife said, wow, I've just seen that at Fraunhofer in Berlin. So I'm not afraid of that. So to come to your point about job profiles quickly changing, couldn't agree more. That's why we need space for innovation. And this is all what, and to come to the next question about business parks, Prizren will not be a classical business park. They already have one in Prizren. We don't want to copy that. What we really want to get there is not just training in classical fields like, for example, mechatronics, where we're close to closing, if I may say so. Also something needed here simply for car servicing. You still need a human being controlling the stuff. But another thing is also the IT sector, also there. So this is exactly what we're going after, to also have an atmosphere in that park where the cross-sectoral setup will also give, hopefully, lots of space for new ideas, innovation, besides the more classical field of training. So please, with the P like park, also look at the T like training and the I like innovation. Thank you, and I apologize, I have to run to the Prime Minister. Okay.
So thank you very much,
then,
Ambassador.
very shortly as well, I will address 2 or 3 things which have been created. First, I think I'm going to propose very soon to the government coding and entrepreneurship as a part of the curriculum, regular curriculum of the schools. So this is what I do, I think, in next coming days. I will propose to Prime Minister and to Minister of Education. The second thing is, my dilemma is funding or supporting the innovation. Discussions I had with the Slovenian minister is telling me do not fund, support financially, better provide opportunities, better provide infrastructure, better provide opportunities rather than providing funds. In this sense, to address the issue that Mentor has raised, this is why we have decided to open a center with the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, because we do believe that their businesses will cooperate with the university and R&D will be there. The students might have a problem that will come from the businesses to the students and treat it for 1 semester and then come with a solution. This is after my visit at James Madison University, where they have an excellent place where they meet together, but at the end of the day, in the end of the year, they do the showcasing for the students for the problems that business brought to them. I do share the opinion that Ambassador was saying that there is a huge potential. The jobs places are losing, but are not losing. We are losing sectors. And to keep the jobs up, we have to be capable to address those sectors. And we have a lot of successful examples in this. And I would say that ICK is one of, let's say, success stories that we can create something long-oriented, but as well long-lasting. If we say, I was reading these days, What's the Future? The book, which is saying it's the future is up to us. So if we want to create by education, research and training and businesses, I think there is a possibility. That's why I said we are moving slower than private sector, but we are at least entitled not to prohibit them for the future developments. Thanks again.
Thank
I
you,
think I made it short.
Minister. Yes, do you also and Michael as the founders of ICK as well, and then we're done.
Ambassador. Ambassador has to leave because have meeting with Prime Minister, so it's not really a place to delay.
I apologize, but I can't let him wait. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Can you put your earphones? Because I want to speak in Albanian.
You know English,
Huh?
You can speak English.
No, I can speak now English, but it doesn't.
Because it's still straight.
Yeah, exactly. Deshta me adresu dy çështje. Më pëlqeu komenti ministrit që don me fuqizu kodimin, gjatë për cilën po flasim gati që 10 vite jemi të shtu përpara dhe nuk kemi pas përkraje deri më sot, dhe po më mirë që qeveria ka vendosur më në fund.
Është informat ekskluzive.
Është informat ekskluzive e sodit dhe më pëlqeu vetë ideja që do të futet në shkolla fillore kodimi. Megjithatë, më duhet të them edhe një herë ministër, para se përmendet që jeni vonë si qeveri gjithmonë, teknologjia po shkon përpara jush, prap jeni prap vonë, po mirë është. Edhe kjo është mirë për shkak se situata e radhës do të ishte që neve na duhet tani një shkollë mesme profesionale edhe një shkollë ekselencës, sepse kodimin veç jemi të mësu privat. Për çdo vit qesim në për shkolla në treg po i qesim, dikon rreth 3000 nxënësa që po mësojnë kodimin, fëmijë, dhe nesër mbas nesër s'kemi me ditë çka me bo me ta. A do të kthejmë mrapa apo do të zhvillojmë tutje? Për me zhvillu tutje ne duhet me qenë një hap përpara dhe me mendu se çka do të bëjmë me ta në të ardhmen. Një shkollë e mesme profesionale për ta do të ishte një zgjedhje e mirë, për shkak se do t'i orientonim të gjitha ato resurse që nuk kanë nevojë me kry universitetin, por që kërkojnë vetëm vende pune të mira, me vlerë të shtuar, por t'i japi mundësi edhe të tjerëve që dojnë me shku në universitet dhe dojnë me studiu, me bo research and development, hulumtim zhvillim dhe me qenë të fokusum në shkencë, gjë për cilën edhe ashtu kemi nevojë. Gjithsesi, një aspekt tjetër që deshta me diskutu është çështja e kampit Kforit Prizrenit ose Innovation and Training Park në Prizren. Nili i EBRD-s e përmendi që duhet të ishin procedura pak ma transparente, duhet kishim kujdes për atë se kush do të vi dhe cilat. Did you or somebody else? Okay. Dhe ajo çka personalisht neve si stik na kish interesu, si përfaqësuese kompanive të IT-s, do doja që në këto kritere të futet, do thot mos t'i ofrohet të gjithë investitorëve të huaj, mos t'i ofrohen një sport me dreza e plot, t'i thuhet se në Kosovë ne kemi kuadro ose kemi rini e cila është e gatshme dhe ju mund të gjeni këtu kuadro profesionale që ju nevojitën për me fillu një biznes në Kosovë. Jo, ne nuk po dojmë me kriju mërgjim të punëtorëve nga një kompani në tjetrën, sepse nuk është me kriju vende të reja pune, dhe në këtë rast një kompani e madhe po të vinte në Kosovë, do të na i merrte të gjithë resurset, asetet që i kemi në përkrejt kompanitë tona dhe të ta mbyllte komplet sektorin IT-s në Kosovë. Ajo që do duhet t'i thuaj investitorëve është se ne kemi brum, po urdhnoni e jani, trajnoni njerëzit, jepjani shkatësitë e duhura dhe pas 6 muaj do të keni kuadro për ju. Kjo është vetëm një brengë imja për të ardhmen që kisha dashur me nda me juve. Ka dhe shumë tjera, po për pelo me kaq. Faleminderit.
Thank you very much. We talked about innovation, sustainable ecosystems, access to finance, employment, all those things. And I wanted to say this before, but I'll say it now. Thanks to, additional thanks to the Norwegian government and the Norwegian embassy. They have been a partner to Crimson in Macedonia, Kosovo, and Albania to help create and sustain the Crimson Finance Funds. And this is very important because the Crimson Finance Funds were developed as non-bank financial institutions, but with a development mission, specifically to fund underserved businesses. So startups, women-owned businesses, farmers, etc. And I just want to say that the Norwegian government has been with us 11 years and helped us in Macedonia, then helped us with the opportunity here, and then in Albania as well. We also have support from USAID. But it's very important because the 3 Crimson Finance Funds, with a relatively small amount of money compared to the banks, have financed over 70 million euros to micro and small businesses, to women-owned businesses, to farmers, created over 10,000 direct jobs, not including indirect jobs, supported over 15,000 farmers. And out of the 1,200 companies that have been financed, interestingly, using debt instruments, and we talk about the lack of different products, has financed 177 raw startups. So all of which are now successful companies. So I wanted also people here to know that Crimson Finance Funding is in Kosovo. It does finance businesses and startups. And I also wanted to thank the ambassador for Norway's continued support in that area as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Minister.
Atëherë edhe një herë, me qenë se ngritën 2 çështje, të cilat besoj që duhet u përgjigj. Një, sa i përket transparencës së ITP-s, është një aktivitet bilateral në mes të 2 qeverive, ku po shkoj edhe në hap matutje, ku qeveria gjermane përmes Ministrisë për Bashkëpunim Ekonomik e ka të drejtën e vetos në projektet të cilat vendosen. Nuk është fort e logjikshme një proces e tillë, sepse normalisht qeveria e Kosovës kontribon së paku me aq para sa kontribon edhe qeveria gjermane, por kemi dashur me rujt kredibilitetin e procesit. Prandaj çdo gjë që flitet me kriju situata konfuzive, besoj që është e dëmshme për projektin si tërësi. Projekti është trashëgu një infrastrukturë jashtëzakonshme me 40 hektar tokë dhe nuk është sikur se parqet tjera industriale. Na kemi rrinë një farë inflacioni të parqeve industriale në Kosovë, ku secilin kanë diçka po tentojmë me bë, por asnjë send do thotë deri në fund. Pra na kemi dashur që qeveria gjermane përmes fondeve veta dhe përmes ekspertizës së saj të jetë garant për zhvillimin e një parku të tillë, i cili e ka në fokus përgatitjen e fuqisë punëtore. Çështja e dytë, kodimi dhe ndërmarrësia. Na duhet me hek për vendet se ndërmarrësia është vetëm u marr me biznes. Ndërmarrësia është shumë më termi gjanë se sa u marr me biznes. Pra në shkollat flasim vetë duhet me bë dallimin vjollca kur flasim për sistem të edukimit dhe kur flasim për trajnime të shkurta. Na nuk kemi edukim në fushën e edukimit. Nuk ka shkolla që ofrojnë edukim në kodim. Ka shkolla që ofrojnë trajnim në coding, po jo edukim. Prandaj jemi të fol për 2 gjëra krejt ndryshme, të cilat besoj që janë të nevojshme me ndodhë në Kosovë. Pse nuk ka njerëz të kodimit sa dush Kosovë? Shkoni që duhet e 4 lullat, është një ndërmarrje që është me bazë amerikane, është në Chicago, funksionon, dhe cila është të mendu me pru njerëz për jashtet. me prunë njerëz për jashtë, paga mesatare është 802.500 euro, varësisht çfarë punë e bën, dhe nuk kanë njerëz të cilët janë të përgatitur. Prandaj, jo, ne nuk kemi ka thojmë askujt që në Kosovë, hajde se këtu rinia jonë është me lule, është ka i pret ata. Rinia jonë është e trajnueshme. Rinia jonë është e mençur për mu trajnu mirë dhe me qenë të shfrytzueshëm nga kompanitë e mëdha dhe për shërbimet të cilat mundemi bëu. Këtu besoj që nuk e kemi asnjë shtet, po e them me plot fuqinë e fjalës, asnjë shtet më mirë se Kosova nuk e ka gjendën sa i përket trajnueshmërisë apo gatishmërisë apo kapacitetit absorbues të rinisë sonë sa i përket teknologjisë informative. Faleminderit shumë. Dhe po shoh që jemi goxha në presion kohor.
Faleminderit.
Bëjnë shaja për ta na on, po.
Faleminderit shumë. Faleminderit shumë ministër, ju faleminderit ambasador. Një thanje për fund vjollca më lutim me nda me ju, një thanje të Jack Ma, realisht një këshill t'i me luisit të Alibabës, që na duhet më përqendru në trajnimin e njerëzve për punën cilën nuk e bëjnë makinat, për ndryshe nëse vazhdojmë ta bëjmë të njëjtën, atëherë është betejë e humbur, edhe çka përfshin ajo që nuk mund ta bëjnë makinat është kreativiteti, zgjidhja e problemeve, të menduarit kritik, të ndihmuarit të tjerëve. So we will always have ambassadors here. Dhe faleminderit shumë. Okej, fjala jote.
Partnert, kështu informat teknike që nuk e keni marrë materialet për aktivitetet e juaj, keni poshtë në hall. Bashkë me materiale e merrni edhe nga një certifikat, të falenderojmë një acknowledgement prej GEW Kosovo për angazhimin e juaj si vjet. Po stash uraniku me shpërnda mirënjohjet edhe certifikatat për mbështetësit e javës globale ndërmarrësisë.